These are devotions for people at a social distance. Today's devotion focuses on that question that's very much on all of our hearts these days. How long? How long do we got to put up with this? And my reflections are inspired from Daniel chapter 9, which begins by saying, in the first year of the reign of Darius, I, Daniel, perceived in the books the numbers of years that, according to the word of the Lord, to the prophet Jeremiah, must be fulfilled for the devastation of Jerusalem, namely 70 years. So here we have this idea that Daniel, in the midst of an exile, deprivation of his people, is reflecting and asking the question, well, how long? And he goes and he consults books. And the books he's consulting are possibly the book of the prophet Jeremiah, but I suspect more likely he is consulting Second Chronicles, what we know as Second Chronicles, which of course was written probably well after the time this story is set, but that's a whole other question. Second Chronicles 38, 36, 20 starts like this. He took into exile in Babylon those who had escaped the sword, and they became servants to him and to his sons until the establishment of the kingdom of Persia, to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land has made up for its Sabbaths. All the days that it lay desolate, it kept Sabbath, to fulfill 70 years. So that's the passage that I suspect Daniel is referring to. And it's not just a question of how long. It's not just a question. Yes, they're dealing with a very difficult time. The talk of the exile is a difficult time. The book of Daniel was also written during a very difficult time when people were asking how long. And the answer to that question, though, is not just a number. It's not just, okay, we got to fulfill a certain amount of time and then we're done. No, this was about letting the land have its Sabbaths, letting the land have its rests. In other words, it was about renewing and restoring a land that had been neglected and mistreated over a long time. It's not really about a number. It's about paying for, in a sense, dealing with the consequences of the ways in which we have not properly lived within our land. So here we are. We're in this time of deprivation, and we keep on hearing these words. Oh, we're almost out. We're almost we get a number of people vaccinated, and we're going to get out of this thing, and we'll hit herd immunity, and things keep happening, of course, that make that goal, which I don't think is which I still think is coming, but it certainly makes it seem as if it's slipping away as problems arise and as things slow down and as we get frustrated with the lack of progress, and we say how long, and we want to put a number on it. No, what we need to be putting our focus on is this idea that the land needs to have its Sabbath, needs to have its restoration. We need to use this time as best we can to build for our land, for our country, for our community, a better system, a system that includes everyone, a system that doesn't neglect anyone, because that's the work that needs to be done during this time. It's not a question of how long. It's, are you doing the work that needs to be done? And I know that's a hard thing to, we just like to say, okay, let's set a date, we're going to be done this thing, and forget about it. That's not what the task of a moment of exile is about. And I think that's what Daniel is reflecting on. I think that's definitely what Second Chronicles is reflecting on. Lord our God, we long for the end of this pandemic and for dealing with lockdowns and other similar things. But let us not simply focus on an end time and an end date and everything goes back to normal. Let us indeed focus on doing the work that needs to be done during this time, both on a personal level, on the level of our own relationships, but also on the level of our community and our country. Amen.